Hello friends and sunflowers, my name is Lena and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about chapter 3 of Crimsonheart, the webtoon. Alrighty, so back to Crimsonheart this week. I'm really excited to read this with you guys. Well, I've already read it, but I'm really excited to discuss it with you guys. Things are happening super fast in this story. There's not that much filler. It's a lot of like directly going into the events of the story. It starts out with Joanne from the previous chapter, asking, oh, like, can I use the IPS first? I guess the IPS is, like, in the testing phase. They've been asked to test the IPS, or they volunteered to test the IPS, which is just, like, this thing that has all of this data about things that happen in Refugia. It's, like, a catalog of things, I guess. And she's like, hey, I found this weird book when I was in the library with Dobby, which we saw like last time, and I want answers because I found this weird necklace. And Dobby is like keeping it. I think it's a secret. She didn't tell Joanne that she found in the book about the Break the Curse of the Blue Fireflies. She didn't tell her about that. She just kind of kept it to herself. So they both kept a secret about what they found in the library, but I think they're both interested to figure it out, right? And so the IPS is like this cube shape and has like a little design on the back. It makes me think of like a magic circle. I think it's just the logo, but you never know. It's a very advanced technology, so but then they're like, oh, there's literally no records of this bookshelf in the library, like we don't know what this book is. And Senna is like, bro, like this is supposed to have like everything. So I don't know, why wouldn't you just be like, oh, hey, we found an issue with this, immediately like report it, because they're supposed to be testing it. I don't know what they're supposed to do beyond that, actually. I don't understand what they're testing still. I don't like fully comprehend that. Why would it only be missing records about a missing library shelf? But they can't really confirm that yet, right? They're supposed to be testing it? I don't know. So then Dobby is like, I think it's time. My expertise is here to be used. So we are already figuring out a little bit about each of the characters and like what their strengths are. Dobby's super smart. Her mom, as we find out, used to work on the IPS. And then we also find out her mom's gone missing, and it started all these rumors and stuff about her mom. I mean, I would just like to say apparently her mom went missing. I mean, that to me sounds like the government was silencing her mom. Or something awful happened to her and they just couldn't, it was classified, so they're like, yeah, we just don't know where she is. Oops. So yeah, she grew up watching her mom work on all this stuff, and so I guess she also had an interest in it. So she's our resident like, let's hack into things, I'm so good at this, I understand how technology really works character. Also, her mother's name is Q, or it's just called Q here, which I find very interesting. Is that a nickname? Is that her code name? Was her name actually just Q? I don't know. Maybe that's a normal name in this society. Oh wow. They also gossiped and speculated that she ran away and abandoned her daughter. Poor Dobby. It's an awful rumor. No, I'm pretty sure she didn't run away. Either she is the head of something and had to leave her daughter, possibly against her will, because it seems like her daughter really looked up to her, so they must have been at least kind of close, you know? So I'm guessing that if she did have to leave her daughter and work somewhere secret, she just couldn't tell her, which must have been really hard for her, or she was silenced by the government, either by being taken as a prisoner or offed, or some experiment went terribly wrong, which means she's also possibly, but maybe we'll find her, you know? Maybe she's one of the people on the island. I don't know. Maybe she left on some grand adventure. Bro, there's so many possibilities. What do you think happened to Dobby's mom? Because there are definitely different possibilities here. But anyway, she uses her hacking ability, and I guess she isn't that good at hacking because the Refugia control room, which I guess there are people who control like the weather, etc. in Refugia, are like notified of it. So she wasn't like sneaky hacking, she was just normal hacking, and they're like, hey, alarms, someone's hacking into this, and then they're like, what? This is an IPS system, like it's in testing. So they know exactly who it is because they're like, well, there's only 4 people, it must be them. But then we get this like weird shot of this evil person. Like, everyone's in shadows here. I don't know what that, like, I assume that's just meant to be like, oh, mysterious. But like, of course, the ruler here looks evil. Of course. I mean, what would it be if there wasn't an evil ruler? You know what I'm saying? I did say that this did feel very dystopian. More evidence. So I guess because that notifies the leaders of Refugia, the book must be classified information. Why it was in the public library, we don't know. Or like maybe she was just in the classified information assuming that it was. I'm not 100% sure. But either way, the information on it does not exist. So either they don't know about it and someone else is at work here plotting against them that we don't see, or they purposefully hid it. It could be either of them with the knowledge that we have at this point. Dobby is like, I found hidden data. Whoa, apparently we're in a dome. Like, there's a wall around Refugia. Now, we already knew this reading, like, the story going into it, because, like, they showed pictures of the dome of Refugia. I think I even talked about it in the last video. I said, oh yeah, they live in this Refugia, it's like safe and dorm, but I guess it's not public knowledge. But they don't really seem that surprised. So they've heard of like a fortress before. Could this be the so-called fortress? Like, they've heard rumors of it. So the idea that, you know, there's a wall around it, I think they're probably not too surprised about that, although they are very curious. Anyways, they're at this really technology wall, and they're really impressed. They're like, oh wow, it's like really thick. I guess there really is like a border patrol of some sort, like it's a fortress. We're living in a fortress. I guess so. But I guess I kind of think it's like made to fade into, like, maybe you can, if you're by it, you can see it, but because the technology, like the whole thing is a dome, right? Like we saw it from before. I think the top part is meant to look like a sky, like it's programmed to look that way or something like that. Anyways, they're like, whoa, well, look at that. And it's the blue fireflies, which we saw in the end of the last chapter. And they're like, whoa, that's really pretty. Oh, it looks like there's a crack in the wall, which is, frankly, concerns me because we know a little bit more about the world, but like, a crack in the wall? That does sound a little bit bad. Because like, what is it keeping out? Like, usually if you just see a crack in something, you're like, oh, you can patch it, whatever, no big deal. But like, having a crack in a foundation of this dome from the outside world, which is potentially pretty rough, is a little bit worrying. But then again, they don't really know what's outside the walls yet at this point, so they're not that worried, because why would they be? They haven't been told otherwise. They haven't been warned of the unknown world outside of Refugia. They just live in Refugia, and that's it. But we know, and we are concerned. There's a crack. Do you think it's safe? So she is a little bit worried, but like, they're not that worried. They're not overly worried. They're like, oh, I wonder if that's okay. Like, do you think that's an issue? I feel like if I didn't know any better, I'd be like, that's probably fine. But it does say, for some reason, the girls felt strangely uneasy. Probably because the blue fireflies are foreboding, not good. And then Senna, this morning, said that the students received a warning because of an odd rumor going around. If you touch a blue firefly, you can never return home. Yojay is having a moment. She's like, wait a second, I read about blue fireflies in that book, in the section of the things that doesn't exist apparently in Refugia. That's suspicious. Break the curse of the... Wait, what is it? Break the curse of the blue firefly island. Anyway, she gets a little nervous because she's like, curse? What curse? And then Dobby's like, oh, I want to touch it. Dobby, I thought you were smart. Let's not touch weird, mysterious creatures that are floating in from the outside, of which there's a huge wall protecting you from. Maybe. Especially if you've never seen the thing before. Even if it wasn't the thing that causes a mutation, I don't think you should touch strange animals, because they might bite your finger off. You never know. Or they might be poisonous. I mean, I think my memory is possibly failing me, but I think that maybe they don't have animals there. That's why the whole PuppyBot project that was in the prologue that came with the album was kind of talking about. Like, it was a project that happened because they were basing it off of actual animals that used to exist, but there aren't any in Refugia, if I recall correctly. She might not have that, like, innate, like, oh, let's not touch strange creatures in the wild. Anyways, luckily she's saved, barely, by this force guards or whatever that are like, hey, we're arresting you, like, freeze. And she's like, what? And they say, we're from National Security Forces, to which Senna is like, that is not their uniform. And we do get a little bit more information about this in the web novel, where it's described as basically the same, but the symbol isn't the same. Like, the insignia is on the shoulder. So this is most likely like a secret service or something like that, that works for the people who control Refugia, and it's not technically the National Security Forces. And we can know, Senna knows what the National Security Forces are supposed to look like. Her grandmother was the person who created this dome, after all. Which makes me wonder, like, is that her parents that's, like, the evil person? I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's someone who is, like... Anyways. They have guns pointed at them. They're like, stand down, we're arresting you right now, like, do not, you know. And Davi's like, oh, it's just a misunderstanding, blah, 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 can we talk this out? And they're like, no, we're not having any conversations. And then the firefly that Davi was about to touch lands on that dude who kind of looks a little shocked. He's like, oh shit, like, he probably just knows his life is over. They must have been briefed, you know, on this. But you think, if that was the case, they wouldn't be wearing fingerless gloves. Oh well, clearly they need to adjust the uniform a little bit more. But I guess you do have to have, like, mobility with your fingers for certain things, especially, like, I don't know, guns, I guess? I've never used them, so I couldn't say either way. But yeah, anyways, his finger starts to gurgle, and everyone nervously watches as his arm and self begins to gurgle, and he turns into a monster! Oh my god! And, like, I'm guessing whatever magic this is, it just absorbed the armor into his skin. Hopefully he doesn't have guns, because he was holding a gun. Because he's, like... Anyway, he looks like he just has claws, so should be fine. The girls are understandably horrified. I would be too. But then we go back to the headquarters place, and it's like, not again. We have another case of abnormal mutation. That makes it 2 already, just this week. This isn't good. I was gonna say, this makes it 2 already. And then they had, like, the rumors or whatever. So maybe there's some that happened previously that they kind of tried to hush, you know? So I guess, this is the second one that happened this week. So previously, because of the rumors, there must have been more. Like, this crack has existed for a long enough time that other people have transformed. But this is the second one just this week. So it must be a rare occurrence. Maybe they can contain it usually, and then here and there one gets out. Like we saw, it was the girl that we saw in the last chapter. So at this rate, someone might start noticing the blue fireflies. This is bad, very bad. I don't know. It's definitely like a will-o'-the-wisp. Follow it, don't touch it, there's a curse, etc. Then he literally beheads a man that was in the army, which is, yikes. This is reminding me of, like, how violent Chaco was. It kind of feels like, oh, like, this is gonna be, like, a darker story, and we are going to actually see violence. Anyway, the girls are like, okay, time to run. So they start running, and the thing grabs Senna's ponytail? Maybe don't wear ponytails, I guess. Not that we would have known that, but, ugh. You know, long hair is, they always say, like, be careful, like, if you have your hair out. You know, it's really easy for someone to grab onto it. This proves the point. Poor Senna, ouch. First of all, that must be painful. But yes, Joanne and everyone looks on in horror because they're like, shoot, Senna's about to get murdered by this thing. And then finally, the climax of this chapter, and of course the end of this chapter, Joanne's like, no! And then the necklace glows. So, I don't know, is she about to do a magical girl transformation? I'm guessing she'll probably cast some magic or something like that will stop him, or maybe she'll transform him back. I assume her necklace counters the blue firefly. The necklace was with the book, right? So the information in the book was meant to supply what the necklace was. Just 2 different people had it, so the necklace can break the curse? Maybe? I don't know. Or maybe she can somehow use the blue firefly's powers because she has the necklace. I don't know, but we're really close to an answer, I'm sure. Anyways, that is it for this chapter this week. Did you read it? Did you enjoy it? No spoilers if you've paid to read ahead, but I am so excited for the next chapter because there's so much that I want to know. Like I said, it's starting out really exciting. I love how we've dived right into things and we're finding things out about the characters as we go. And we have a lot of mysteries. We have the mystery of, like, I assume the island dome place that I assume has similar technology to Refugia or something protecting it. I don't know. And I wonder if, like, because Crimson Heart is the story for 르세라핌, you know, seraphim are technically angels. Obviously it's spelled differently, but they are, like, I think the highest rank of angels that exists. So would they have that kind of, like, status, you know? Obviously they're not called 르세라핌 in Crimson Heart, but yeah, I'm just really interested to see where this is going to go, and obviously how they're going to convince the higher-ups that they can leave Refugia, or maybe they'll just leave. Like, they'll be like, oh, we're being hunted down, let's leave, and so they do. I'm wondering how they're going to meet all the other girls, because there's a lot of them, like, obviously more than the members of the group, and 2 of which we haven't even seen yet, so that's exciting. I just want to know how we're going to meet them, and, like, clearly there's more than just Refugia and the island of the blue fireflies. There's like the whole unknown world in between, which I assume is where like the cat character that is Unche exists and stuff like that. So I don't know, it's just like very intriguing to me, and I'm very excited for the story to continue. If you like these breakdowns, be sure to give this a thumbs up, leave a comment, let me know what you thought of this chapter so that I know that lots of people enjoy watching this. And of course, if you aren't already, please subscribe for more content from Hybe and the Hybe universe and the stories and stuff like that. I cover everything under Hybe, so if you like any of the groups under Hybe that have a storyline, I'm there for you. I'm there, I'm covering it, I'm doing theories, we're discussing it. It's a fun time. Also, all of my social media is linked in the description down below, and my second channel is linked there as well. I also want to give a shout out to my patrons over on Patreon. Thank you guys so much for all of your support. If you want to become a patron, the link is in the description down below. As it is, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay sunny, everyone. Bye!